All right, welcome into Bettor's Last Stand, show number 28. Coach back with us after a hiatus. It seemed like every Wednesday he had a game out at Wheeling College. So, Coach, glad you're back. Yeah. Really anxious to get you get your input on, obviously, the Super Bowl and some of the other ongoings coming up this weekend. But you're a big golf guy, and we're starting to get into the big season swing of golf as they start heading their way back east here to where we get big tournaments and exciting stuff. Obviously, the Waste Management in Arizona, same spot as the Super Bowl this weekend. So we got some exciting things to talk about. Welcome, and it's good to see you back.
Yeah, glad I'm going to be at the Warwood Vets instead of in Scottsdale, Arizona on Sunday, because it's going to be nuts out there with the traffic and the people. And
imagine waiting for a cab.
Yeah, and waiting for an airplane, trying to get an airplane. They say get there 5 hours early to get a plane flight. So I'm glad I'm going to be in little old Warwood Vets. With maybe 100 people as opposed to millions and millions. So, but it should be a good weekend. Really a fun weekend with the Waste Management. We talked about that at length. That might be on our bucket list at some point for the Pine Room boys to head there, and then obviously the Super Bowl. So.
Yeah, it's definitely a good weekend. I think I would prefer what you say, though. Watching it from home or at a bar nearby is going to be a lot better than having to deal with all the chaos and all the idiots out there.
Yeah, it's gonna be nuts. We'll be rooting for our numbers.
Yes,
on our boards, and we'll have a lot of fun. Be with a lot of friends and hoot and holler. We'll probably have all kind of exciting stuff going on with different kind of gambling boards and all kind of fun things. And Champ will be all excited. I'm sure he'll be putting in some huge bets. He may up at the $15 or $20 this week.
He actually, speak of that, he actually bet $20 tonight on Iowa State against the Mountaineers.
Ooh,
and I like the other side in that game.
I think I don't know, man. That's a huge game for the Mountaineers.
It is.
Mountaineers, and now it all depends on the Mountaineers. Obviously, that is with anybody. If Eric Stevenson can light it up again, but Iowa State plays good defense. They're much different than Oklahoma.
Right,
they're a much much better team. I mean, this isn't Oklahoma or Auburn. Right. This is probably legitimately maybe one of the best teams in the Big 12. So they'll have their hands full. But I like West Virginia in that game too.
Yeah,
so.
Mountaineers a small favorite in the game. Obviously, that's a sign too. Ranked team coming in, and they're still favored. So
the Mountaineers traditionally are so much better. We talked Jeff Petrie, who's a college basketball guru. He made a lot of good points about what a home court means to most of these teams.
Yeah.
Just you look at teams like Rutgers, West Virginia. Obviously, just the home court is a massive difference in their record, in their emotion, how they play the game. It's just a huge difference. If they were going to Iowa State probably, what would you think of? Was 6.5?
Yeah, I'd
7?
say a couple baskets at least. Yeah. Up to probably 6 at least.
Yeah, I'd say 6. So I'd say that's probably about a 9 to 10 point swing.
Sure.
The Mountaineers having home field advantage or home court advantage tonight. So I think I'm with you. I think Champ's going to be crying in his Bud Light bucket tonight. I'll be with him tonight. So
he's just automatic fade of the Mountaineers. So he does.
Just
has that in his mind made up that they're not any good, and he just goes blindly and bets it.
Yeah, and then any favorite, if there's a big favorite tonight, he's going to be on that.
Yeah.
But he does put a lot of homework into it. He gets over there and studies it, and he'll be a happy man if that hits.
He doesn't sleep much. He's always studying.
Yeah. So I'll be with him tonight. This will be out by the time that result is in, and I hope he for his sake he hits it. So get him ready for the Super Bowl. Has he given his early pick on the Super Bowl?
He's
yet?
not sure. He says you put the pressure on him too much when you ask him about that. So
I'm gonna really put it on him this time. I'm gonna show him a couple $100 bills, and I might actually give him a couple $100 to take over to the track and have him bet on it, and he'll be shaking worse than he shakes normally.
He'll smoke even more cigarettes too, because he's been really nervous the last few Saturdays. You've called him and asked him for winners, and it just freaks him out. So
I'll be anxious. He may play some props too for this game, because I know I think actually the national championship game he played a couple of props, and then I think some of the divisional championship games.
I think. Yeah, he was going through the prop sheet for you.
Yeah, because that was hilarious. He was trying to find George Kittle on there, and man, it took him.
And he was on the wrong. He was reading the AFC game.
Yeah, he went down there, so he was on the wrong page. But that was comical. If anybody, if you're gonna have to post sometime him placing his bets over at the.
Yeah, we actually do need to do that. Put him on our social. I always send it out to the group, but sending it.
Watching him place the bets. He's a true pro though.
It's impressive.
It is impressive. Yep. So I'll be anxious to hear his take on the Super Bowl, and we probably should have brought him on today to give his insight on the Super Bowl and and the upcoming baseball. He says baseball's his game.
That's his game. Yeah.
He says baseball. He can beat baseball like a drum. I said, what? How do you do it? He says it just pitching matchups.
Looking at guys' whips and all that. X-FIPs.
Well, and I'm sure he's studied all the rules in baseball now. He's probably, with the shift now and the larger bases and they can only throw over two times. He probably has already swallowed all that and put it into a formula that he's using to bet.
He gets all his info from the Wheeling paper, so if they didn't have it, could be trouble.
He probably still doesn't know there's been changes in baseball.
No, he never knew any of it.
Why didn't he? He always wondered why the shortstop was over on the other side of the base.
Yeah, well, Champ's one of a kind, and you can always see him on our pages. We'll put some social. Actually, I'll get him making his Super Bowl picks. We'll put that up on social media. So at the Pine Room Podcast, check that out. It's always a good time when Champs hit the betting window. So anyway, let's turn to the game itself. I feel pretty strong about my picks. I think you and I are on the same side for the most part in this game. Overall thoughts on the game, and do you like anything other than the Chiefs, or are you leaning any way on the total at all?
It's tough to bet that game under the total. It's just that would be an excruciating bet just to bet that under the total. I don't know. I would bet, if I was going to bet it in the total, I'd probably bet it under the total.
Yeah, I like under.
But I'm not real strong on that. I do like the Chiefs a little bit, and I think I'm going to bet that early because I think that line will move against them. I think that might actually. Has it moved?
Well, I saw this morning a couple places had the Eagles back up to 2.
Oh, they were at 2.
Yeah, I saw just a couple, but I mean the Eagles are taking the majority of the 33 states. 32 of them are taking heavy Eagle action, including this one here, West Virginia. The only one that's not right now, obviously, Kansas, and Missouri doesn't have sports betting, so that's not going to show. But or legalized sports betting. But yeah, 32 states on the Eagles right now, and the majority of them are on the over in the game. I lean into the under. I'm going to wait till the very last second and bet because I think the total is going to continue to go up. I agree. You got, most bookmakers will say about 10% of the money is in right now. So you got about 90% of the money, and they're estimating this is going to be several $1 billion wagered on this Super Bowl. So the numbers can move late. There's going to be a lot of shifts towards the overs in these games. People want to play overs. They want to play the props. So if you're looking to bet unders on the game itself, the quarters, the halves, and even player props of some of the more prominent guys, Mahomes, Kelsey, Hurts, those guys, just wait till very close to kickoff and bet those unders because most likely, unless you got a pro going to the same place you're betting, you're going to get better numbers late if you're betting unders. If you're betting overs, you better get them on them now because they're going to keep going up.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was looking at would you say that this Super Bowl, as many Super Bowls as you've worked over in that field, is as heavy one-sided as you've seen?
No. I mean, yes and no. So far, it has been the thing that I would talked about this on our podcast at the Pine Room Podcast. Be sure to check out all of our regular podcasts. Obviously, you're listening to Bettor's Last Stand now, but if you want a more diverse view on everything, we do that once a week as well. So be sure to check that out on our YouTube as well. Great stuff we always put out each week. But anyway, we discussed last night the interesting thing for me. 2 of the Tom Brady Super Bowls, we had so much anti-Brady sentiment. One was when he played for the Bucs. The other one was when he played for the Patriots. So we took such a slant we had the Rams money, and then we had the Chiefs money the year that they played Tampa. and it was huge one-sided action. By the end of that, I mean, we were one of the few books in the country that won, because both of those times Brady gets the victories, and people around this area hate him.
Just
all the
because of the Steelers.
Yes,
Steelers,
they act like he's tormented them in their division for 100 years.
Yeah.
It's bizarre to me. I know they've beat. He only ever played them twice in the playoffs. It's weird.
Right, and I don't understand the hatred there. I don't know.
But with taking him out of it so far, yeah, I would say this is the earliest that I knew I was going to need a team. Excluding Brady from it, but yeah. So right now we're going to need the Chiefs, barring some major giant Chief bets. We'll need the Chiefs for sure. But the one-sided action is bizarre to me with the Steeler fans and the Brady element. So
yeah, I don't
here.
get that either. And I'm a little surprised at the heavy Eagles. I know the Eagles are good. Remember, the Eagles were in a little funk too earlier in the year. So I think with Mahomes and Kelsey, now I know they're beat up at wide receiver, but I just think here's the thing: if they can run the ball a little bit, if they can get any kind of a running game going at all, and give Mahomes the ability to, which he'll do anyway,
right? But
if he can, move around and be able to have some time to throw, which he will. I don't know. I see the Chiefs being able to beat them, definitely.
I agree.
I mean, I look for like a 20, because that's probably going to be right around the number, I would think, like 27-24 kind of game, right in that area, 30-24 kind of game. But I'm probably leaning to the Chiefs in this one.
Yep, I'm going to be on Chiefs and under, and we'll go through a few of the prop bets and stuff I like later in the show, but just a few crazy stats here. Obviously, this is going to be the biggest Super Bowl ever wagered on here legally in the United States. So with so many operators now up legally in 33 states, with Massachusetts being the most recent one to go legal a couple of weeks ago, $16 billion is the expected handle across those legalized sports books, which is just staggering. And as I mentioned, 75% right now, roughly across the 33 states, are leaning heavy Eagles, with that exclusion being Kansas, with the Kansas City sentiment there. But only 10% of the action is really in, as we just spoke about. You'll see a ton more. This is a game that's going to get bet really late. Obviously, people will start coming in Thursday, Friday, Saturday. There's a little trickle effect each day. It'll get more and more and more and more. So I expect the 13 or 16 billion that may even be eclipsed by the time this is all over. The same game parlays are just a huge thing now. I mean, people were just throwing money on these things left and right. And last year's Super Bowl, 31% of the bets were same game parlays, and bookmakers expect that to be increased this year with the offerings. Coach, you don't do any of that stuff, do you?
No,
that seems to be a game for the young guys.
Yeah, I don't do that. I've never. I just just for me, just because I always say it's hard enough to pick one.
Right.
One winner, let alone try to pair up two. I've tried it twice with Champ. I've given him twice. I've given him money, and I was 0 for 2 and 1 and 1 on both of them. And I don't know. It's just too hard for me. The odds are way stacked against you. It's a good bet if it pays off, obviously, but I don't do that.
I mean, maybe people at home, throw a few bucks on some of that. I mean, you can get decent returns, throw $5-10 on them. I mean, but yeah, Coach is right. The way to go attack these games is to bet these games and these props straight. If you like props, you don't have to pair them up. The worst thing you can ever do is pair a prop up, something you really love, and then just try to put it with something that you really don't like, and then the thing you don't really know about, you lose, and then your great opinion on the one prop you had is wasted, and you don't have anything in return. So I would say the same game parlays they're a huge draw just because of the payouts, and you see people posting on social media these giant tickets with like 10, 12 different things happening on there, and if you can hit one of them, it's great. But stick to the straight bets. That's our advice here. A couple of straight bets I thought were interesting. 2 $500 bets on the kickers, each kicker to be MVP at 200 to 1 would pay over $100K. Kicker's never been the MVP. Do you see that changing this time, Coach?
No. I don't know what. A kicker would probably obviously have to kick the game winner. Right. I would think, to be the MVP, and then he would probably have to. I would say he'd have to kick a minimum of 4 field goals.
Right.
and possibly the game winner to be the MVP.
Yeah, probably, and maybe even like a long game.
Yeah, like a long, like a 60-yarder to his time expired. Maybe that. But you never know. I mean, crazier things have happened. That might, for a couple bucks, that might not be a bad bet.
Yeah,
I wish the first quarter. I do like first quarter bets. I wish that it was 10.5. If I could get it at 10.5, I think I'd really like the first quarter under the total.
What about first half? Any thoughts on that? 24
first half, that scares me a little because the second quarter usually picks up, especially in that last 2 minutes. Teams never take an ear go in the tank in the last 2 minutes. But I do like that first quarter under. If I could wait around and get it at 10.5, I'd like it a lot more.
Yeah,
because traditionally, if you've looked. The first quarter has been relatively low scoring.
Yeah, and our last 4 Super Bowls have been under anyway. So
and usually it is 10.5. But I see on your line here it's 10.
Yeah, we actually went down to 9.5 briefly and then up to 10. I think that could get to 10.5 again. People are going to start betting. They want to just see points.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at Jarrett. That's all he ever. He doesn't even He doesn't even look at any reason why. He just. I think it's just a simple fact that he doesn't want to sit there and root the game away, and he figures
you always have a chance.
All the over bettors think that you always have a chance, no matter what. Yeah. And with overtime, that's and with the overtime rule change now, that makes the over even a little more enticing.
Sure. What are your thoughts on either team to score in the first 6.5 minutes?
Boy, that's a tough one. I play that a lot. I would say that there will be a score in the first 6.5 minutes. Okay. I'm not sold on that, but if I do bet
minus
that,
-120 to the yes right now, so
which I probably will bet that. I think that's a fun one, but you bet that under, and man, you're just it's
like, oh god,
that clock will not move. That clock won't move.
I think maybe this is one that I would maybe hold off on until I would see who is going to get the ball first, if you can. If your place has it, because I think if Philly gets the ball first, they might have a chance because they will run it a little bit more. If Kansas City gets it, I'd be worried as hell because they're a little bit more dynamic. But then again, I guess Philly is too. But
they are
the running game though.
Yeah, and then you look at your deep threats too with the under. There and now with some of the guys out. What is the status?
Mecole Hardman is definitely out, but
is Schuster?
But playing? Schuster's going to play and Tony's going to play. So they both have practiced fully the last 2 days, so they're both playing. So they'll have them in Valdez-Scantling, and then their tight ends are pretty good. Obviously, Kelsey, and then a couple of their younger guys too. Let me ask you about this one. First kickoff of the game, touchback. Now it had been on a run to be a touchback, and then last year it was. The last years prior to that, people had been running them out, but last year they were a touchback. Right now, yes for a touchback, -150 on the opening kick, +130 on the touchback.
And it does seem like most kickoffs are touchbacks anymore, but I was sitting next to Chuck Ernest at the Vets the other day, and he said, I'm going to give you a bet right now. And he said, get it in if you can. This first kick will be a touchback. Landed on about 1 yard in I think it was Cincinnati. And KC, yeah. And I think the first one of the kicks, I don't know the first or second kick, and a guy ran it out. So that's not such a sure bet as you think.
Yeah.
But I would say early. That kicker's got a lot of adrenaline. And
this is indoors.
And indoors, he's got a lot of. I would say that first kick would be a touchback. I
would lean that way too. I definitely would, especially if it's Kansas City. To me, is more likely to bring the ball out than the Eagles, but because of the couple of guys they have that return kicks. I think like Pacheco sometimes returns them, and Tony, they could maybe bring it out if it's not super deep. But if that's one where you're kind of waiting to see who. Although the last few years they haven't even showed the damn coin toss on the TV. We got people screaming and yelling trying to figure out if it was heads or tails was a winner, and they're trying to squeeze all these commercials in, and you don't even see it. So half the time it's hard to know who wins the toss. Obviously, 59% right now on tails.
Really?
Yeah, so far at most books.
How could that be? I don't understand that.
It's exact 50-50 odds.
I can't understand it. 59% of tails?
Because people just like to say tails never fails, but I don't really.
I would definitely take the plus money on that.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
to me, that's what kind of study can you do on that? What kind of inside info can you get on that?
You could say this whoever the coin flipper is flipped it this many times.
Right. And there may be some dynamics on there. Watching, they may go back and review how many times it does flip.
Carl Sheffer's crew.
Does he have a quick? Does he have a big thumb?
What if they bring a celebrity into flipping? Like they do sometimes in those big games. Interesting about Carl Sheffer's though. The Chiefs fans are like they were like threatening to kill this guy. Like he's been a thorn in their side. I don't know if I subscribe to this theory, but the Chiefs fans are really bothered by this when they saw that he's assigned the game, and 22% of the Chiefs flags on the season were thrown in just 2 games with Carl Sheffer's. That's kind of a strange stat there, but hopefully the officials don't play a role. That's all we can all agree on. That we just don't.
I just hope it isn't every little ticky tack, flag.
Well, he's the top penalty producing crew in the NFL last 2 years.
It just slows the game down. The flow never gets going. Every third play it's a holding or a defensive chalk downfield.
That's another reason I kind of like the under in the game. I feel like he could have some big plays called back. I hope not.
Well, that could be. But then the worry there is the defensive pass interference, the long pass defensive pass interference,
which can work against you.
Badly. I just hope it isn't a flag fest. Do they put a prop for the total number of flags thrown?
We're not allowed to offer that, but some places are.
We're interested to know what that number is.
Some states don't have what they consider like negative props like that. I actually have to look that up because I thought I saw that his crew was averaging like 12.5 accepted penalties a game or something like that in the regular season. They were the top crew. But then again, they said this crew is kind of mixed up. It's not all his guys that were with him. They kind of mix them up a little bit. So
I wonder if guys, real serious bettors studied traditionally how many flags have been thrown throughout all the Super Bowls. And I wonder if the officials, they're going to call their own game, but I wonder if the NFL says, hey, listen, let's let them play a little bit. Let's, that usual chuck downfield, that offensive holding that you're questionable on, let's let it go, and let's not slow the game down to where people were complaining.
Yeah, so I would certainly hope that was the way that they lean. When in doubt, just keep the flag in your pants. But
eat the flag.
Well, let me ask you another one of these props. Game to have a scoreless quarter. Yes, plus 395. Any chance of that?
Oh, I can't unless it's the first quarter. Right. I can't see it happening. I don't think there's any way that both teams are going to go 15 minutes without scoring.
Seems hard to believe.
Unless you have a turnover deep going in, or
somebody goes for it down by the goal line and doesn't get it.
What is it? Plus what?
Plus 395 for yes to have a scoreless quarter. Minus 500 for the no.
Maybe a wee little wager on something like that, but I can't see that happening in this game.
And then there was one more I wanted to ask you about before we take a break. Will a punt or a fair catch be downed or punt go out of bounds inside the 6-yard line?
Oh, yes, inside the 6.
Plus 225. I thought that was an intriguing prop.
I would bet that.
I like that.
Here's the only problem with that. This is the only problem with that. Rarely do teams punt when they're around midfield, even on 4th down.
Yep.
Now, if it's 4th and 12, 4th and but if they're within 4th and 8, less than 4th and 8, 4th and 6 even on their own 45, because you really what's an average distance for a punter and nowadays 45 yards,
like a net of 45.
45. So if you're not on like midfield, it's going to be tough to get it inside the 6. So I can't see Philly or do you see him punting when they cross midfield?
The only thing that maybe where that comes into play, like you say, is that and if it's third and manageable and they get a penalty or something and it forces them they have to punt. Like it's really long.
Like 4th and 15.
Exactly. Where they have, because I think both these coaches are aggressive and they both have good offenses.
And they know that there's going to be a lot of points.
Right.
So they can't give the ball to the other team and let them keep scoring.
Yeah.
And instead of going for it, because they figure they're going to score from the 10 or they're going to score from the 50. So they need to go for it.
Yeah,
which
definitely.
I don't agree with at all. We've said it all along.
Champ would be owing to take the points, and I can see that not happening.
But that's a tough one. I the more I think about that, it's tougher it's going to be.
It is. And you don't really ever get guys, well, they shouldn't. They're taught to not fair catch it if it's going to go inside the 10.
Right.
So you're probably not going to get that happening.
The only thing that you have on your side is these punters are so good that they are so well schooled on pinning teams in.
Sure.
The way they drop the ball and how they can it's amazing how they can draw the punt is 50 yards in the air and can come down and land like on the 4 and take bounce sideways out of bounds, or just stop right on the 2. I mean, they're so that's the one good thing about that bet is the punters are so good.
Yeah, I thought that was worth a shot. That's the one that I'm looking at with interest, mostly because I thought it was just intriguing how the way it was written.
Oh, I like that.
And I also think maybe if you could get a team that was up maybe 10 or something, maybe that they're playing a little safer and they would try to punt when they're around midfield. So
yeah, that's a fun bet though. That's a really fun bet. And a lot of the fun bets too are the in-game bets where what the next play will be. It'll be a pass. Now that takes. If you're sitting in a bar drinking beer, hooting and hollering, you're not gonna do that. But if you're at home and you want to play along with every play, those are fun. I used to do that just at home now and then. But if we're at the Warwood Vets and it's hooting and hollering and yelling and screaming and watching your numbers, chances are you're not gonna make those bets.
No, not at all. So we're gonna take a break here on Bettor's Last Name. We're gonna come back and talk a little college hoops. We'll be right back.
This show is for informational and entertainment purposes only. All wagering activity should only be conducted by those 21 years of age or older and within the confines of federal, state, and local law. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, contact 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537.
All right, welcome back into Bettor's Last Stand. We're going to try to get our football guru Champ on the line here. I have a call in to him, so if he calls, we may switch gears briefly.
I don't think he's doing a talk show or anything today, is he?
No, he might be on Dr. Phil later in the week or something like that. But
I thought maybe he was doing a show from the book talking about who he likes. Well, I don't think he can do that because his phone's dead.
He could have been giving out baseball win totals. Dodgers over, Astros over, all that stuff. But
Pirates under.
Yeah. Well, he would be hammering that. Chris is on the other side of that one. But we got baseball to talk about in the future. Just talking about college basketball now. We're going to focus a little bit. Starting to settle in a little bit with college basketball. Starting to at least identify who are some of the better teams. Coach, your Boilermakers are really good. Obviously, they were in a bad spot there on Saturday against Indiana, in a game where Indiana wanted it and needed it a lot more than they did. You still feel pretty confident with Purdue going forward right now? They're about 15-1 to win the national championship.
I still think with the big guy in the middle, Eddie.
Yeah,
I'm still thinking they got good guard play, but like you said, it was a tough spot. I still like them. I got a couple sleepers I like, and I forgot to tell you the other day I had the weirdest dream. And I don't ever remember my dreams. Well, sometimes I do when they're really weird. But I had a dream, and you're never going to believe this, that Miami won the national title. And I was with your dad, and you were upstairs somewhere. I don't even know where we were. But I had a dream that Miami, this was right after they clobbered
Duke. Monday night, and I had a dream they won a national championship. And I'm not saying but to me, they're one of the sleepers in the tournament. I think I agree.
A couple of sleepers that I will like that I might put a little bit of money on. I like St. Mary's.
Yes, you mentioned that. I agree with you.
I like them. I thought that was a good play the other night against Gonzaga. I don't think Gonzaga is obviously as good as they have been, but I think St. Mary's is really a team to keep an eye on when a tournament gets here. I like Miami as a little bit of a sleeper. Yeah. I mean, obviously your strong teams, Purdue, I think is really, really good. I like Houston because of their defense.
Yes.
They'll keep all of their totals are always in the 130s, even lower than that, high 120s. Defensively, they're just really, really good. I think Alabama's up and down.
I don't trust them.
I don't like that. And I don't think that conference is real strong. I don't like them heavy like I like Purdue, and I like Houston. Kansas is one that's been. I don't trust them either.
Yeah, same.
So I don't know, but I just think Purdue's going to be a very, very tough out.
I think the Big Ten is probably the best conference, top to bottom. It's a pretty good league.
I mean, Big 12.
Big 12
obviously
is very deep. Who would you say is the best team in the Big 12? If you had, it kind of changes there. Texas is really talented, but Kansas beat them the other night.
Yeah, and again, that's where you go on the road.
Here he is. Sorry to interrupt, folks.
Okay,
we got the man, the myth, the legend.
We're going to go on hold to basketball. We're going to back to football.
Champ. Hey, me and Mark are on the radio right now. He's got a couple questions for you. Okay, or you got time right now, right?
I got time.
Okay. Where are you right now? Are you over at the Wheeling Downs?
Right.
Okay. Well, we were sitting here talking about the Super Bowl, and we're trying to give out our big plays for the public that watches the show. And I said, that you've been really hot lately. You gave me a couple winners, and we're looking. Have you made your bets yet on the Super Bowl?
You know what? As much as I want
Kansas City?
Kansas City, then I'm taking Philadelphia.
Is there any particular reason why you're taking Philly? I'm writing this down.
They have a good pass rush. They have a good running game. And I think they can go after Mahomes and keep him down. But I really like Kansas City, but you can't play with your heart. You got to play with your money.
That's a good. We always preach that, champ. And do you like anything in the total? What do you think of the total? It's 51.5. You think there's going to be a lot of points? Pardon me?
I think it's going to be more defense than offense.
Yeah, I like that play too. I like that play. So right now, to the general public that's listening, by the way, we have George Champ Kettlewell on the phone, a daily bettor over at Matt's Place at the Island Casino. He's given us his best picks. So, Champ, you are releasing the Eagles and under as your two of your top plays?
Yeah, I want to have Philadelphia and play the game under. And I don't know about rushing yards or anything. They got Mahomes to rush 11.5 yards, under or over.
What do you think about that one?
I don't know. I don't know if he can.
How about Travis Kelce? What do you like on him? Anything on him?
Yeah, I like that. I think they're going to have more of a running game. Philadelphia have more of a running game than Kansas City.
Right.
Okay.
Now, passing wise, I don't know about what Mahomes might do or the quarterback for.
Jalen Hurts, you mean?
You know what I mean?
Jalen Hurts for the Eagles, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not real sure on that one.
You haven't zeroed in on your player props yet? You're going to keep studying those?
Yeah, I'm going to keep on looking at them.
Okay.
Now Matt said you have a very big bet on one of the basketball games tonight, and I'm interested. He wouldn't tell me who it was. He wanted me to ask you. And now this will come out after the game. So I'm hoping that you had the winner. Now, could you?
Iowa State, and everybody likes West Virginia at home, but I took Iowa State with the points.
And
I think Houston's going to be there. Michigan will be in there.
How about Purdue? You like Purdue?
Purdue's not playing. I don't see it.
Oh, no. Okay. I just thought you meant overall. Okay. Gotcha.
Tennessee
Okay.
Vanderbilt, I think Tennessee will win. Let's see. Oklahoma State to beat Texas Tech.
Okay.
Houston Cougars over Tulsa.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, champ. Now, if you were telling somebody right now for a future bet, who do you think is going to win the whole thing in college basketball? What team do you think has the best chance of winning it all?
I love Purdue. I think Purdue has the best team in the nation.
You like Lurch.
I like Lurch. You rang?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, champ.
And I like Houston could be in the fix.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that.
Tennessee a little bit.
Okay.
But I don't think they can. The long shot of the big long shot of the whole thing will be. I don't know. I don't know.
Come on, I'm on the edge of my seat waiting for this. Who's the long shot?
What?
Who's the long shot? I'm on the edge of my seat.
The long shot will be. That's a hard one.
How about like you thinking? You thinking?
Alabama's playing Florida today. Alabama could do it.
You think they could do it?
Alabama could do it.
Okay, well, we'll be interested as the tournament comes on. We're going to have you on and give you all your picks for the tournament. So, champ, before we leave you, what are your plans for Sunday for the Super Bowl? Tell me, tell the.
We'll probably all go to the Vets Club.
And
Are you baking anything? Are you making any covered dishes or anything?
Hot dogs and hamburgers.
Oh, hot dogs. Yeah, we're gonna. Hey, okay.
Onions?
With onions, plenty of onions. You got to have tons of that.
You probably should cut those up before Sunday, though, so you don't have to get interrupted.
Right. Well, maybe Becky Boo might make it.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, she'll be done by then.
Well,
she'll be done, and we'll drag her out of here, and we'll have the a red carpet out for her.
Well, that's great. Hey, are you on a bunch of boards, too, for the Super Bowl?
No, I'm probably about $160, $70 on boards.
Okay, well, I hope the best for you. I hope the Eagles come in for you. Not really, because I'm betting the Chiefs. And I hope you hit your squares.
Okay, I hope you also.
Yeah, well, you be safe. Matt, anything else for the big man?
Buddy, I'll see you tomorrow, and I can't wait to get some more knowledge and wisdom from you. You got any last words for our listeners?
To be the man, you got to beat the man.
Perfect. All right, pal. Thanks. We'll talk to you later.
I'll see you tonight at the club.
Bye-bye. All right, Georgie Kettlewell live from the Wheeling Island Sports Book.
Yeah, he's once you fight through the cough, he's got a lot of good insight. He does a lot of studying. He's an avid light. He helps keep the lights on over at the sports book for you guys.
Sure does.
He's quite the entertainer. So Sunday should be a lot of fun with him. If we can keep him awake. And
I'd love to be able to do a segment if we just had the more manpower of his dog picks each day over there. Man, just even a 2-minute clip, it would be hysterical.
That would be really great. I may start taking a camera over and getting his
actually,
picks.
we probably could just do it on someone's phone. It would actually be pretty funny.
Yes, it would.
You know what? He actually does have decent opinions. But you know what? He gets scared off of it. He likes them, and then the odds, if they shift or the odds go up on somebody, he stays away. Which is the reverse of what I would do.
He's a Quinella player.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a heavy in the Quinellas.
Quinellas, yep. $1 Quinellas, yeah. $6 boxed, or yeah. Well, I mean, their Quinellas are always boxed, but yeah, he's quite a guy. So anyway, back to our college buckets. Champ gave a little insight. He gave Alabama as a long shot, but they're like 10-1. So
yeah,
I dismiss Alabama. Who were some of the other? You said you liked St. Mary's, Miami. I agree. Miami 125-1 right now.
Yeah, that's
not impossible.
Wouldn't be a bad play.
I think the teams, and you described Houston, which is like this team that I like too. UCLA a little bit.
Yeah.
Teams who have obviously good coaches and can play some defense. I think are really good teams to have. Obviously, guard play is so important, and I think those young guards from Purdue, are really good.
Yes,
they just keep getting better and better. They are going to be very, very tough to beat. Don't love the coach there, but I like UCLA and Rutgers. Although Rutgers lost one of their key big guys out for the year with a knee injury the other day, and they got beat the other night. I still think Rutgers is a team on a neutral court, plays really good defense, well coached. Their offense is a little bit of a concern, but I like them on a neutral. I think they could be a team that could go deep. I think San Diego State is a good team right now, about 150-1. Good defense, play well on neutral floor. I like them. And then another team I like is long shot, really, New Mexico. And I'm not thinking these teams can win it all, but they could maybe make the Final Four, Sweet 16, something like that. I mean, you get New Mexico 40-1 to make the Final Four. I think that's worth a shot. And Arizona, I think, will be tough too out of the Pac-12. But if you had to pick somebody to win it all, would you go with Purdue? I guess Purdue.
I'd play Purdue. I'd play Purdue right now.
I think they're probably the bet right now. I think Arkansas out of the SEC be interesting, but I agree with you. I think the SEC is not nearly as good. Kentucky's not nearly as good, and I don't like Tennessee. Champ mentioned them. Yeah. They really, really struggle sometimes to score. That game they played on Saturday against Florida was terrible. Yeah. I mean, it was 28-26 with 16 minutes to go in the game.
Yeah, they struggled to score.
Really bad offensive performances, and you got to worry. When the teams don't have one go-to guy who can get them a basket, like Purdue always has that. So even if they're struggling, their guys aren't shooting, they got Edey, they can dump it inside, and they can get easy baskets. If you don't have that, that's the one thing that worries me about Houston. They're great everywhere. It's just, do they have one guy they can rely on when they need the basket that they absolutely need? Can they get it? But we'll see. We'll talk plenty more college hoops going forward as it starts to get to that time of the year. And we got
we're getting close. Game. I mean, these teams are 23, 24 games in. I mean, there's only a handful of games, 6 or 7 games left, right? And then,
I started looking at the conference tournament schedules already. So
it's unbelievable.
We're down to a month.
Yeah, look at the Mountain East Conference. They're about 3 weeks away from their tournament, and spring training starts in a week.
Yes,
so we're ready to change gears again.
Do you have any thoughts on the Mountain East games tonight? Not that it will do our viewers any good.
Well,
but,
I think the Cardinals out in Wheeling's in big trouble tonight.
You think they'll
I think. What do you have that line at?
I have West Liberty is a 11.5 point favorite on the road at Glenville, 174.5.
I would play Glenville there.
Yep.
Every coach I've talked to that comes to Wheeling has said Glenville is playing very well right now.
Yeah.
I would probably play Glenville, getting that many points.
Yeah.
That would be a play for me.
And then Wheeling on the road, Concord minus 8.5.
I would play
Concord hammers.
I would play Concord after watching Wheeling's uninspired play the other day. I've changed my tune on them.
Well, that's bizarre, though. They beat West Liberty, and then they kind of hit the skids.
And what I was just going to say, I think they beat West Liberty, and that was their season. To be perfectly honest with you, I think that nothing else can matter to them. Then they can say that they beat the number 1 team that time, like number 4 in the country, hammered them out there. And I think they absolutely were uninspired when they got hammered by State the other night. Now, State was obviously due to break out of a 5-game losing streak, and they're unbelievably talented. But I look for Wheeling. I think Wheeling's going to struggle to make. Actually, they dropped to 11th. Frostburg won the other day.
Yep.
And they've got a really tough schedule, so I don't think I'll be shocked if Wheeling makes a tournament.
I was going to ask you if you thought they can muster a tournament run, but they got to make it first.
They got to make it, and they've got a tough schedule. I mean, they've still got West Liberty left. They've obviously got to go to Concord,
and that's a revenge game at West Lib.
Oh, you better you better hide the women and children there because I could get and West Liberty Ben will just that's the last game of the year. But they've got a really difficult schedule, so they're going to have a hard time getting in. And then you said the total in the West Lib game was, what'd you have it at?
170. I bet it over, honestly. 174.5. Glenville tended to try to match West Liberty going up and down. And a lot of times that leads to games into 200s. So.
And that tournament's going to be interesting.
Yeah, some teams are starting to play better now. Charleston, Fairmont now are viable, contenders. State maybe gets it back on track. They're very talented. And then you said Glenville, talented team. And then you got teams like Concord. Notre Dame always plays well in the tournament. I think that'll be a really good mix. I think the women's tournament's going to be really good.
Really, really good. Yeah, so, I look for that. And then, the region, I was talking to a couple of guys about the region, the Atlantic region in the men's. It's going to be really interesting, and that depends on how it plays out.
IUP the favorite?
Obviously they're number one in the country right now. They're still undefeated, but let's see who East Stroudsburg's very good in there, and then they talked like 3 to 4 out of the PSAC, which obviously depends on the tournaments, and then West Lib, State, and Charleston are probably, and Fairmont are the front runners there, and then if you get a sleeper to come out and win the tournament like a Glenville, as you said, or a Concord, then that's really going to shuffle it up. But I think Mountain East Conference's tournament's going to be outstanding.
Yep, looking forward to it. We'll be talking
hard to
about
believe
that.
We're talking about that already, and talking about baseball.
Coming up in a few
just
weeks.
Seems like we were talking about like in a second, third week of football, and now here we are talking spring training of baseball.
Football's over, and the spring sports are starting. The weather around here will probably start to get really cold as West Liberty baseball starts up.
And one more thing about the Mountain East Conference, and Matt can tell you, when the tournament gets here, you can go over and bet on all the. Now, do you do women's games?
Yeah, we'll have
too?
the women's. We'll have all the women's games. We'll have in-play wagering. We'll have outrights to win the tournament, and then each game. So looking forward to that. It's one of my favorite events of the whole year.
Yeah, so if you folks that are in the Mountain East Conference basketball and you do like to gamble a little bit, go over and see Matt and get a line on all the games. And man, it's unbelievable how close they are.
It's fun. I always thought it's fun to be able to bet on those. Not that I do it, but because I'm making the odds. But just having action on it or following the numbers on games like that. I dreamed about that as a kid. It was always how fun that would be, and kind of made it a reality. So
it's fun.
It's good stuff.
Anybody get over there now? You can bet on West Liberty and Wheeling.
Yeah, we got West Liberty Wheeling men
every game
this year. Yeah, so we'll continue to add. I mean, we're starting to get pretty good action on it. So I'm happy, and I'd like to continue to add. We had football this past season as well, Mountain East football. So we'll keep adding teams as we get more interest. So it's a good thing to have. But we're going to take a break here on Bettor's Last Stand. We're going to come back, talk some golf, touch on some NASCAR, and then close up shop for the Super Bowl. We'll be right back on Bettor's Last Stand.
This show is for informational and entertainment purposes only. All wagering activity should only be conducted by those 21 years of age or older and within the confines of federal, state, and local law. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, contact 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537.
All right, welcome back into Bettor's Last Stand, segment number 3. We appreciate the champ taking time out of his busy day to join us here on BLS. His insight is always appreciated. He's quite a character. If you don't know the champ, get on over to the track and meet him, and he'll. I guarantee you'll walk away impressed in some way or another. But we're going to talk a little about golf, Coach. Golf season starting to heat up right now. Waste Management Open, a huge event on the circuit. Not a major, but pretty close. Huge turnout. Going to be the same spot as the Super Bowl. Exciting weekend. Last week we gave out a good winner here. Actually, 2 weeks in a row I've had winners here on the show, and then our PRP picks. Justin Rose last week gets the job done at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. So we had Justin. I've been on him for the last few weeks as his game's starting to come back. He's healthy and he's playing well. And we had Max Homa, of course, last week. So be sure and check us out on social media and on our Twitter, the At the Pine Room Podcast on our social. It'll link you to our Twitter. I've been putting those up on the Twitter page as well as the Instagram, so you can see our picks each week. The thing about golf, as Coach makes his golf debut here on Bettor's Last Stand, we the show actually comes out on Friday morning, so which actually is kind of good because I always advise people don't bet those heavy favorites. The Rorys and the Roms and stuff. Wait and see to how they do on Thursday, and then maybe if a guy comes out and shoots a really low score, a guy who's not that good, and you can get those guys at an inflated price instead of betting Rory McIlroy at 9-1 and John Rahm at 8-1. Wait and see what it's like Friday. You might be able to get him at 14, 15. I mean, Rahm a few weeks ago, you could get him to 80-1 the week that Morikawa blew the tournament. So that in play in golf is so important. You can get great value. Golf just really a hidden gem, and NASCAR another one we're going to talk about. We're actually going to have a NASCAR and racing preview show coming out on Bettor's Last Stand. We're going to have that out early next week, so we're going to focus in on NASCAR and some Formula One for people that are interested in that. Try to give you some season-long bets, and just being able to find value in these golf and racing outrights is really, really good. It's a lot. You can get one of these bets every couple of weeks, and you can be well ahead if you back the right guys. So I'm excited about this tournament this week. Some guys that I like. Anybody stick out to you early on here at the Waste Management in Scottsdale, Coach?
Obviously Scheffler,
defending champ. Yep.
Yeah, he's probably one of the favorites. A couple of guys that I like. I like Colin Morikawa.
Like him a lot.
I think he'll bounce back after that, debacle he had a couple weeks ago. I like him. I've been on JT, a couple of weeks, and he's just sort of let me down.
Yeah.
But I do like him a little bit this week. I don't know why.
JT's a guy, for me, I like to see how he plays in the first round, and I actually don't mind if he doesn't play that well.
Right.
Because you can get him at a better price, and he can shoot a really low score. So he's definitely a guy that I look to in an in-play wagering when I'm going to back JT. Anybody else stick out?
A couple long shots, and I played Maverick McNeely several times this year. I like his game.
Yeah.
I think he gets excited for the crowd. He's this is probably
fits his
really
style good.
Cool place for him to play. I like him a little bit to finish in the top 10.
Okay.
I think he'll be a good play there. I like Sam Burns. I think he'll crack the top 10 also, or at least be around there. So
right.
those are two of the ones I sort of like as a little bit of underdogs to make a run. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm not going to be on Rahm or Rory. No. Obviously, I don't believe you guys know people that listen. I don't want to give those kind of people. Anybody can sit here and tell you that Rory or Rahm can win. I mean, we all know that. I mean, there's like 45 guys that can win this tournament. I mean, it's golf's at its really the top that it's ever been. If they could ever get the live thing worked out, it'd be even better. But there's a lot of guys that can win this, and the best guys don't always play perfect rounds of golf. I think Scheffler's going to be strong. I had Scheffler and Morikawa as the two guys of the lower price guys that I would consider playing, and then JT, a guy I will look at on the in play. Xander Schauffele's stats here are fantastic, but he's just too low of a price for me to bet.
Yeah,
he's a top 5 machine here. So if you want to play that, I would recommend it. I think he's almost a sure thing for a top 10 or even top 20, definitely. Guys that I thought maybe just a little bit under the radar. I like Sungjae Im. I think he's due to break out. I like Tom Kim. I think his game's really good. He's 25-1. He kind of seems like he with his President's Cup behavior, the way he really embraced the crowd, I can see him playing really good here. I think he'll be really energized, so I would take a look at Tom Kim. I thought KH Lee maybe for a top 20. I thought he's dangerous. I really like Hideki Matsuyama. He's kind of my pick. If I have to make my top pick, I like him and Cameron Young as my two. If I was going to narrow it down to two guys I thought that could win the tournament, I'm going to go with Cam Young and Matsuyama. But again, if you think you like these guys or you're not sure, top 10s, top 5s, top 20s, these are all great options. I'll be playing all these. Longer shot guys, I thought Billy Horschel.
Yeah.
His game isn't quite back to where it could be, but he plays good in front of these kinds of crowds. He's a hot shot. He's a show off, and I think he kind of thrives in this kind of environment, so I would take a look at him. And then Brian Harman, always very solid here, just doesn't hit it very far, left-handed guy, just keeps it in the fairway, doesn't get into trouble a lot, and I'll be backing him. And then Shane Lowry, his game has been pretty strong. He's been playing in Europe, in Asia. I think he's a really good bet for top 20, around 3-1. And then a really long bomber, JT Poston, I think could be
I like JT
a decent. He hits the ball well, drives it really straight and accurate, and I think he'll play pretty well here too. So
one matchup I like Ricky Fowler. I think he's or not Ricky Fowler, like Sun JM against Matt Fitzpatrick.
Okay,
I like him. You like him too, right?
I do. I like Sung J.M. a lot.
So
yeah.
that would be a play I would probably play. Him over Fitzpatrick is one that I would play. And Rory's going to be matched up against Rahm. I think I'd play Rory there in that matchup. I do. I think he'll be very, very strong this weekend.
I see Rory against Rahm, and I see Rory matched. Some places have Rory against Xander. And Schauffele, you getting about plus 125.
That wouldn't be a bad play.
It's not bad. Xander Schauffele, a good player. One that I like for the matchup. If you can get these, obviously, if these go, you may have to wait till the next day, but they could still end up getting paired with each other. You never know. But I'll be a little against Patrick Cantlay this week, and I like Cameron Young at plus 110 against him. And you mentioned Ricky Fowler. It is good to see his game starting to come back a little bit. I'm happy for him. He's obviously not back up to where he was, but it's good to see. And then one other matchup that I really like, I think this is mispriced in my opinion. Tony Finau minus 170 against Hideki Matsuyama plus 150. I'll be on Hideki, so I'll be back in the Pacific Rim, guys. Yeah,
you like Matsuyama,
and again, I'm not against Finau. Finau is just a guy. If you like top 10s and 20s, he's your man because he's very solid. He just doesn't ever seem to close it out and win. But anyway,
and if you haven't seen this course or this event, it's fun to watch.
Yes.
I mean, this is a really fun one because on what hole is it?
16.
16 is just
like the party hole.
Is whatever goes. They'll be throwing beer and hollering and screaming and carrying on. And I think the players love it.
They do. I think it's nice one time a year.
Yeah,
some guys don't, but the majority of the guys, when they go to this event, like, you don't have to play this event, so you choose to come here. You know what you're getting here, so if you're going to sign up for that, you're going to be ready for a rowdy, just chaotic environment, and it energizes guys, and watching those hole-in-ones and even the potential for a hole-in-one and the roar that goes with it. And,
it's going to be a lot of fun. And what's interesting is that, and I didn't realize that they finished this on the day of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So
if you remember last year, the game actually kicked off, and they were
that's
playing.
Right.
They were still playing.
I remember that. Yeah, and
they moved it back to Golf Channel because CBS had the game.
They had quite a ways to go. It
was in a playoff, and
that's it. Yeah, that was it. It was in a playoff, and they were ready to kick off.
And Scheffler ended up winning.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, it was because I had every TV in the book, obviously, and our giant screen is on the game, and I had one little tiny TV over, because guys were still checking their action, and I actually had action too. So, there were still people falling, like a few guys huddled around this tiny TV over the corner to watch the end of that.
That's right. That's right. So it's going to be a fun. Weekend, and then next weekend we kick off Daytona.
Yes,
we get ready for NASCAR. You guys are going to be talking about that. That's going to be a lot of fun.
We're going to do a nice preview show. Our cousin Sam, who's a race just enthusiast and really knowledgeable, going to go through all the NASCAR schedule, the teams, all kind of drivers that we think are going to do well. Martin Truex wins the Busch Clash last week. It gave that one out as a winner as well. Actually, in the version of full disclosure, Toyota to win. I did have that. Truex was a guy I think it was a top 10 or 15 play for me.
What was your opinion of the track?
I could do without it now.
Yeah.
I liked it the first 2 years. I didn't like it as much. I think they should move it around. I get why they're coming to LA. They're trying to involve one of the biggest cities on the earth in NASCAR, and I think it's good because that is neat that they're getting more eyes on the sport, and I think that's very helpful, and I thought it was well received by the fans. But I'd like to see them rotated around again.
Well, and it's just too many cautions.
Yes,
There's just too. And the track is cool. I mean, it's cool. It's just too small.
Yeah, it's probably made more, and I get it. They expanded it from 23 to 27 drivers. They probably should have kept it at 23. It's probably where it needs to be because when you have 27, if you get a guy spun around, you almost have to stop because they're going to be coming right back around. But whereas if you cut it down, I thought maybe they should do it like they do in some of the All-Star races where they shave the field down as it goes instead of building loading it back up.
Yeah, I agree.
To kind of make it be a little bit more fun. But yeah, some guys with good cars that I thought got just bad luck. You just get spun at the wrong time.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
You're just out of it.
I mean, I think Champ was on Denny Hamlin, and he had a really
good car. Yeah.
He had a really strong car, and he got so once you get spun and get in the back there, you're in trouble. But I'm a short track guy.
Yeah.
I love the short tracks. I love Bristol. I love Martinsville. I love Richmond.
Yes.
Yeah, I like Dover. Dover's a mile, but it's still a shorter track than the big super speedways. And I was glad to hear you guys say Rockingham is possibly back in the mix.
They're North Wilkesboro, Rockingham.
I mean,
Dale Earnhardt Jr. is doing great stuff to try to get that back.
I mean, that was one of my bucket lists, was to get to North Wilkesboro and to Rockingham. I never got to either one of those places. And when I was on my NASCAR,
you going to a race eight times a summer?
I went to a lot of tracks, and I always loved Bristol. You know, your dad took me to Bristol, and I thought, and we're hopefully planning a trip to Dover.
Yes,
if
definitely. we got some of the younger generation of our family that haven't been to a race yet. We got to get them there.
We got to get them there and do it while your dad's still able to do it, and we need to do that. And I urge anybody that's a NASCAR fan that hasn't been there, and you say, "Oh, I can't watch cars go." You believe me when I tell you would. It's a thrill. It's a cool thing, and you get. Just to get, as your dad always says, it hits every sense.
Sure does.
You know, the smell, the feel, the taste, the whole thing. You get every sense that you know
it is.
that your body has. You're going to get it, and it's a neat thing. So looking forward to that starting. That gives us our Sundays back with something other than the NFL. So that's a fun thing.
Yeah, and NASCAR has always been something that's been special to our whole family. Like we've followed NASCAR, we've rented races, we've done NASCAR pools at family events. I mean, always just such a fun thing. So it's a sport that everybody can enjoy. And Coach is right. Going to the races, you know, a lot of people say that about hockey too. You go to an NHL game the first time, it's like, wow, you start hearing those pucks snapping on the sticks, tape to tape, and it's like, wow, this is a whole different thing than what I'm used to watching on TV. So we'll give you plenty more NASCAR picks. Be sure and check out our NASCAR show. We're going to have it out next week. We're going to in preview of the Daytona 500 and the Formula One Bahrain Grand Prix that will be coming up later in the month of February. So lots of good stuff with racing around the corner. Going to try to have Sam make frequent appearances on this show. Once we get the computer here in our beautiful studio and get all that going, we can Skype in and have guests on. And Lauren the Bettor, she ought to be charging parking in her front yard. She's out there in Scottsdale where she lives now, and she's got the Super Bowl and the waste management in her backyard this week.
Wow, that's awesome. I'd like to talk to her again. I need my T-shirt too.
Yeah, I know. We got to get her.
I'm waiting on my Fresno.
She must have lost it in her move from Texas to Arizona.
and segue into our if I don't know if you guys hit on this last week to tell them about our incredible record with our football best bets.
Yeah, we've mentioned it, and again, we don't like to tout ourselves. And the thing about our group that I think is cool about our Bettor's Last Stand guys is we're not going to give you minus 500 favorites in these guys that, you know, certain winners, and we actually gave you stuff that you're going to get value out of, plus returns or even money returns. I mean, that's all you can ask for. You don't want to see some guy on TV telling you these are guaranteed, this is a guaranteed winner, this and that. We're not going to tell you that. But what we will give you is plays that are going to give you value. If you make the wager and you win the wager, you're going to turn profits. And we were 26-1 on our football. Coach Luke and I throughout the season, our season-long bets, and I thought that was really good.
Yeah, and they might have misunderstood you, Matt. It was 20 wins, 6 losses, and a tie.
26
so it wasn't 26-1.
Right.
We weren't quite that good.
26 losses and 1 tie.
Yeah, so push, I mean, if you could get that and you would have put a little bit of money on it, you'd have had an excellent football season. But and a lot of them were future bets that we just liked. I got feelings about them, did some research, and we all actually ended up having a really good year. And then I think there were some first week bets in the Big Ten and the SEC that we hit also.
Absolutely, yeah. And then those were just the season long ones that included in that.
Because I had Georgia.
Yeah, because you had Georgia early, had a Purdue early, a cover with Purdue.
Yeah. So you know, as Matt said, we're not touting ourselves, but 20 wins, 6 losses, and a tie is better than Phil Steele or Brad Powers gives out. I'll tell you that. I'll guarantee you that right now.
Yeah, and if anybody isn't aware, there's these touts and services, and a lot of them have been around for years and years. And, I usually send our group the picks just, and they do. And they're like Brad Power's newsletter and this Power Sweep newsletter, the North Coast Sports, they got great information. I'll give them all the credit in the world for putting together, assembling that stuff. It's really good information, but their picks are not really going to be any better than ours. And, I think we kind of pride ourselves when we're not just in a social environment, when we're just drinking and we're just making silly bets. Everybody does that here and there, but if we're actually going to concentrate and try to give out good plays, that's what we do on this show. That's what we do when we send our picks in to Jubb to do our Pine Room picks in our the ones we post on Twitter and Instagram. We're not giving you just him haw. Well, I kind of like this team. Like all those ones are ones that I'm betting myself and I'm trying to win just like you are. So I hope that we can continue to give out winners and do pretty well with it. I think we will. And then you know what? Maybe someday we'll get good enough where we can sell our picks or something like that.
That's going to be our next venture.
I think so, and I like it. I think we've done well enough to earn that right. So,
I think sometimes, honestly, we do a lot of studying, but sometimes you just get a really good gut feeling, and like several times in my betting career, and I can remember vividly some of the ones that I really liked, and they were few and far between. But when I got one, it was like I knew that it was going to be a winner.
One of your best that comes to mind immediately of the many was Army at Oklahoma a couple years ago in football.
I don't know why.
The game ended up going to overtime.
And
huge dog.
Army was
4 touchdowns.
And I told guys, I actually told guys.
You said they had a chance to win the game.
I told them early. I said, bet the money line on Army. I don't know why. Oklahoma was in a bad spot, and I just had a gut feeling. Then I loved. Several years ago, I loved Notre Dame to just beat the shit out of South Florida, and they beat them 46-0, I believe. Yep. And see, to me, when they give out these games of the year or games of the week, those shouldn't be ones that come down to
squeak it out
to cover.
Misses a field goal or something.
There are so many games out there that cover easily. I think if you're a really good handicapper, you just can't say, "Oh, next week is our game of the week," just on a flyer. Just because it's time to give out the play. You can't just say, "Okay, week 8, we're going to give our play of the week," because you might not have one you really, really like, but they're going to try to sell you on that. So I just like it as time goes to when I get a really good gut feeling, as you do sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes in golf you really get a really, really good feel on a guy, or NASCAR, you just know he's going to. Now, obviously, there's a lot of variables, but if things play out.
But you're right. The gut feeling is really important. And when you follow the stuff closely,
right.
It kind of leads itself to that, whereas you kind of have a pulse of the way teams are playing or whatever. Like on Monday, I kind of knew Miami would beat Duke pretty bad in basketball. Just, Duke's off a giant win in a rivalry game, and Miami kind of was a game that they should have beat Duke at Duke, and they bounced back at home and beat them.
And sometimes you look at the lines, and they are just they're just off. They're not right. I mean, the Mountaineers given Auburn. Auburn was coming in at 15 in the country. Right. Mountaineers were struggling. Mountaineers were giving them like 3.5. You knew something. It was too easy to take Auburn there.
Yes.
It was just too easy. So you think something's fishy about this, and somebody knows something.
Mountaineers have been an interesting team.
Yes, they
on
have.
The spread for the last 3 games. Their Auburn game, their Oklahoma game, and then tonight's game. All games where you would say, some guys would say, "Wow, the Mountaineers favored in all these." So far, they're 2 for 2.
And that wouldn't shock me tonight if they beat Iowa State by 6 or 7 points.
I agree.
So,
a couple of things, just housekeeping before we go. One thing, if you haven't been on this Vancouver Canucks, we didn't talk much hockey here. Chris, our hockey guru, is off today. He's got a big basketball game. Park Girls over at Union Local tonight. Vancouver Canucks 25-1 to the yes goal in the first 10 on the road this year. They will be in action again tomorrow and Saturday. So
wow,
you won't see tomorrow, but get on them for the weekend. And then a couple of things I wanted to mention. These trends in the NHL off the All-Star break, for the last couple of years have been incredible. So guys have been tracking these, and they're hitting almost to 80%. Now, this is a team who has played a game post All-Star break, then playing a team who has not. And there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these games on Saturday. So you will listen to this before then. And these plays are the Oilers against the Senators. The team I'm going to tell you first is the team you want. So you want the Oilers against the Senators. Oilers will have played twice. Senators have not played. Flames over the Sabres. Flames will have played twice. Sabres have not played until Saturday. Islanders over the Canadiens. Rangers over the Hurricanes. Coyotes over the Blues. The Blackhawks over the Jets, and the Penguins on the road against the Kings. All those teams, the Penguins, Blackhawks, Coyotes, Rangers, Islanders, Flames, and Oilers, have all played at least 2 games before these other teams have come back off the break, and it has shown that the rust factor is really, really heavily influenced into these outcomes, and these teams tend to struggle to get their lungs back, to get their passing back, all their tempo back. So be looking at those, maybe even some unders in those games, but then you run the risk there of the one team that we like maybe blowing them out. I'll be anxious to see how that goes. Again, nothing's guaranteed, but those are almost at an 80% clip over the last 4 seasons since they started to do these different All-Star formats. So hopefully you can get a few winners there. The Caps, Bruins in Toronto and Columbus. Those games are both teams that haven't played in almost 2 weeks. So both of those games, I'm going to lean to the under in those, hoping that they're a little bit rusty. But other than that, Coach, anything? Oh, real quick. Jarrett mentioned this yesterday to us about the bad beat. So I always put a bad beat every week. This Portland Pepperdine game, I ended up going through this. Remember he was telling us about this yesterday?
Yes.
Crazy. Portland's -1.5 in this game. They're leading 92-89. This is in double overtime, so obviously this is a pretty even game. Pepperdine kid races down the floor and scores 1.3 seconds left. He gets fouled. They're trailing 92-91. They got to make the free throw to tie to send this to a third OT. He misses the free throw. The Portland guy rebounds it with 0.6 seconds. The clock looked like it expired. Well, he gets fouled like immediately. He grabs the ball, gets fouled. There was probably still at least a few tenths of a second left. He gets fouled by the Pepperdine guy. So he swings his elbow.
But if nothing happens there, all he's got to do is make one of the two.
Yes.
To cover the spread.
Yes,
correct.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So he swings his elbow in kind of like backing the guy off of him who's trying to foul him. Elbows the dude in the face. After a couple minutes of deliberation between the officials, they assess a technical foul to the Portland guy, but they also had to play the actual live game foul with the foul from the Pepperdine kid. So the Portland kid goes to the line, shoots 2. He makes 1, so it's 93-91 Portland.
Yep.
Then the Pepperdine kid gets to shoot the technical. He makes the first one. He misses the second one. It's 93-92. Pepperdine, since it was a technical foul, they maintained possession. So they're inbounding the ball under the Portland basket with 0.6 seconds, and they run a play that our good friend of the podcast, Coach Crutchfield, would run for years. Just did it all the time with Shane Maynard. Dan Bingley would throw the ball up to him. It's a lob play right under the basket, and the Portland guy was asleep, and the Pepperdine guy made the basket at the buzzer, and they won 94-93.
Just when you think you've seen it all.
Yeah, it's just how many ways can you lose in basketball?
It's unbelievable.
It's always tough. So anyway, that'll do it for us on Bettor's Last Stand. It was good to have Coach back. We're going to talk plenty more stuff the rest of the year. We got tons of golf, NASCAR on the horizon, baseball right around the corner. Going to talk a bunch about baseball win totals and all that stuff. So anyway, have a great Super Bowl weekend. Everybody be safe, drink up, eat up, and hit some boards, hit some bets. Follow us on our social media at the Pine Room Podcast. Be sure and check out all of our picks, our official picks for the weekend. Until then, we will see you next week on Bettor's Last Stand, and thanks to everybody. Enjoy your weekend.
Play heads on the toss.
There you go, heads.
See ya.